Welcome. With Purim coming, I would like to speak to you about the Inyan of Purim. What is Purim? So we'll start with the Gemara. The Gemara says, Chayiv Adam levesumi bepuria ad layoda bet or Haman lebarach Mordechai. That a person has to be so intoxicated on Purim, so intoxicated that he cannot tell the difference between or Haman and Baruch Mordechai. What does that mean? Chas v'sholom, it doesn't mean that you should say, Baruch Haman or Fakert. That doesn't mean that. It means there are different pshatim. I think the Taz says that you should not be able to tell which is more chashiv, the mapola of the Rasha or the harama of the tzaddik. Others say it means because there's a gematria here, they're equal, you should not be able to calculate the gematria. It's all a point where you're not able to do your normal mental functions. You should be intoxicated. So the question is, why? Why should you be intoxicated? If it's simcha, is it because you should be happy? So this is only Rabbanon, that the simcha and Purim is Rabbanon. And Simcha's regel is a deraisa. So Simcha's a regel kolshkein. You should have to be so intoxicated, but it's not so. You just drink, a certain amount of wine till you're feeling good and happy. But to get so bluey that you can't tell the difference one thing to another, you can't add up numbers, you can't do anything. There's no reason to get that drunk. And also some of the Achronim ask, all the Nevi'im speak against drunkenness. So why over here all of a sudden there's a mitzvah to get drunk? So in Shulchan Aruch it says that Ad Lo Yoda, you could be Mekayim that by sleeping a little bit. Yosim Limuda, or you can sleep. I think Magen Avraham says L'chatchila that's better. It's better to sleep than to drink. So what's the inyan of Ad Lo Yoda? Apparently it's not simcha. No, it's very nice. We're b'simcha, we get to sleep a little bit, we rest. But, that's not, how we measure simcha. So even sleeping, you mekayim Ad Lo Yoda. So what is the point of this Ad Lo Yoda? So in order to explain this, I want to go to Parshas Yisro. Parshas Yisro. What does Yisro have to do with Purim? We'll soon find out. So, in the parsha of Yisro came to the Midbar. It came before Matan Torah, after Matan Torah. But he came, and he saw Moshe sitting, and there's all these people waiting, and he's answering all their shilas, and settling all their disputes, and he said, this is something that you can't do. It's too much. You're going to collapse. You shouldn't do this. Really, what you should do is set up a judicial system. You have higher judges and then lower judges, and eventually anything can come to you and you'll answer it. That's really what you should do. So Moshe said, okay, so it says the pasuk, Vayishma Moshe l'kol chaisnai. Moshe listened to his shver. Vayas kol asher amar. He did everything that he told him. And it says, he made Anshei Chayil, so the whole business, he set up a whole judicial system, because as he had recommended. And then it says, after the whole thing, Vayishalach Moshe es chaisnoi v'yelech al artzai. Moshe sent away his shver, he sent him away, and he went to his land. So Rashi says, L'gayer b'nei mishpachtoi. He sent him off back to Midian to Megayer his family. If Yisro came and he became a ger, and he became a yid, so why are you sending him away from Klal Yisrael to be with all of Klal Yisrael, all the mitzvahs and everything, sending him off on his own back to Midian? Go take those pagans in Midian and be Megayer them. And what does be Megayer them mean when he said to go to them? He meant that he should tell them they shouldn't do Avodah Zarah. That's what it means to be Megayer them. And he didn't mean that he should go there with a bezdin of 3 people, and they're going to go and make geiris and make a mila and tefillah and all these people and make them into geirim out in Midian. That's not what he meant. He meant you should go there and tell them there's a Rabbi Shalom in the world, and Avodah Zarah is false, and you should not do Avodah Zarah. You should do Shev Mitzvah Bnei Noach, don't kill, don't steal, don't be cruel to animals, don't be even nachai, whatever, these things. But that's all. So he's sending Yisrael out there to Midian, to outreach the people of Midian that they should do Shev Mitzvah Bnei Noach. I mean, why? Did he send the shluchim to other places? Did he send to all the nations? Did he send them all shluchim that they should do Shev Mitzvah Bnei Noach? I mean, what is this? The question is, it says, Vayishma Moshe l'kol chosnoi, he listened to his shver, Vayas kol asher omar, he did everything that he did. So it would be enough to say, Vayas Moshe k'chol asher omar, why he listened to his shver and he did everything that he said. What is the pasuk telling us? That he listened to his shver. We have psukim and psukim. The shver is talking, and Moshe is sitting there and listening. We know this. He was just sitting and listening. And afterwards, so he said, "Okay, good." But he asked Kol Hashem. He did everything that he said. There's not what's added by telling us Vayishma Moshe l'kol chosnoi. He listened to it. And b'chlal, you have to understand. Yisrael is probably a brilliant man, and he thought up a whole system, a judicial system. But Moshe could have done this. Moshe couldn't have figured this out. The Rebbeinu Shalom could have figured it out. The Rebbeinu Shalom never told him to do it. He never told him to do it. So you think, and was it too hard for Moshe also? The pasuk says in Devarim, in the beginning of Devarim, L'yuchal avad, he says, I can't carry it by myself. So Rashi says that it doesn't mean that Moshe was not able to sit there and don all Klal Yisrael. The person who made Kriyas Yamsuf, that took Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, he couldn't sit there and be don all of Klal Yisrael. Of course he could. So L'yuchal says, Rashi says, it means something else. It doesn't mean that he was not able to physically handle teaching Torah to all of Klal Yisrael. He could have done it. And then, of course, it would have been better. If Moshe teaches Torah to Klal Yisrael, it would have been much better. You hear Torah directly from Moshe. I could imagine it's much better than hearing it from the 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th levels of down from Moshe. So he could have done it. It would have been better. The Rebbeinu Shalom didn't tell him to not do it. So Yisrael comes along and he tells him that it's not going to work, and Moshe listens to him. What exactly happened here? So I'll read you a Rashi. Yisrael said, if you're going to do this thing, this great plan that I'm suggesting to you, Hashem commands you, you'll be able to survive. So Rashi says like this, go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom advice. Ask him if this idea I'm telling you is a good idea. If he tells you to do this, you'll be able to survive. You'll be able to get through this. If he stops you and says, don't do it, you're going to collapse. You won't be able to survive. I mean, what? What? I mean, what blasphemy? He says, if I have this great idea, go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom. If he says, yeah, then you'll be okay. If he tells you, no, don't do it, you're going to collapse. Incredible. Incredible. What is this? So we go back to earlier in the Parsha. So Yisro came, he said, Ato yodati ki godol Hashem mekol aleihim. I know that Hashem is greater than all the gods. Ki badover shezodu aleihim. All right, that's how, because this that he turned the tables in Mitzrayim, this was like beyond. So Rashi says, Ati yodati, magir yisil shovar. Even before this, I knew that there's the Rabbi Shalom. Now even more. This is like so much, even more. Mikol aleihim, from all the gods, melamed shoyamakir b'chol avodah zarah sheba'olam. He knew every avodah zarah. He checked out every single avodah zarah. Shlo yiniach avodah zarah, shlo yavodo. He served every avodah zarah. So he's saying like this: I served every avodah zarah, and whatever they could do doesn't come to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So first of all, it seems that if he hadn't served every avodah zarah, if there were other avodah zarah that he hadn't tried out yet, he wouldn't be so sure. But because he served every avodah zarah and he saw what they were capable of doing, and now he saw what the Rebbeinu Shalom is capable of doing, now I can come. So it would seem that he still believed in those avodah zarahs. He just felt it didn't rise, they weren't as good as the Rebbeinu Shalom. But Onkelos says he translates this. Kan Yudana Rei Rav Hashem. Now I know Hashem is great. V'leselo barmenei. There is no other God. So it could be Rashi will also agree that there's no other God. But once he checked everybody out and he saw that their abilities are not the same, and there's nobody that he left that he didn't check, and now he sees Rebbeinu Shalom. So it must be that he is the only God, and all those are really nothing. All those are nothing. But again, what do you see from here? In Egypt, in history, there was a pharaoh called Akhenaten, and he introduced monotheism to Egypt. There used to be many gods in Egypt, and he introduced monotheism. There's only one God, the sun god. So really, he had the pagan god idea, but instead of there being many pagan gods, there's only one. That's what he did. That's what he said. So Yisro did not arrive at the Jewish idea of God, the idea of Einoid Milvadoi, the idea of Ein Sof, the idea of Les Asar de Panimine. He did not arrive at that. He thought that he was a great, great, great God, and not only that, he was the only God. The idea of that Einoid Musaguf, Einoid Guf, and Einoid Milvadoi, that he couldn't be masig. He maybe eventually could have, but he wasn't masig with that idea. He wasn't masig. He came to the idea that he is the greatest and maybe not and the only one, right? The Rambam says in the Moira, Chelik Aleph, Perek Lamed Vav, that Dibra Torah Kolosha B'nei Adam. The Torah talks to people. There's anthropomorphism in the Torah. The Torah talks about Yad Hashem, or that Hashem is regel, or he sits, or he runs. The Torah gives that kind of a thing, even though it's totally not true. It's not what it is. But it's Dibra Kolosha B'nei Adam because Pashta people cannot be masig the idea of Einoid Musaguf. You say, some people say there's an expression that the God is the supreme being. That is wrong. He's not the supreme being. A being is a being. A being has contours. It has borders. It's a being. The Rebbeinu Shalom is not a being. He is being itself. He is Avaya. He's the only thing that exists. Nothing else exists. Now, how does this world exist? You have to get into the whole business of Tzimtzum Kipshutoi, which is not Pashit, or Tzimtzum not Kipshutoi, which is also not Pashit. That's a whole different thing to figure out how these things are. But a Yid, even if he doesn't get into all these things, and doesn't study Kabbalah, doesn't study philosophy, and doesn't get into all these things, but he knows that Einoid Milvadoi, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is not a being, a Yid who's more than a Pashto Yid, a Yid who comes to a certain level, knows that the Rebbeinu Shalom is not a being. He has no demus, even if it's not physical, even if it's spiritual, but there's no demus. There's no, it's not a being is like a thing. A being. Rebbeinu Shalom is not a thing. He's not a being. He is everything. There's nothing else that exists besides the Rebbeinu Shalom. So how does we have a world? Okay, it's a question. We have to figure it out. But the Jewish musig of the Rebbeinu Shalom is Ein Oid Milvada. There's nothing else. Yisro did not arrive at this idea. Yisro arrived at the idea of Pshutei Am that the Rambam talks about. He arrived at the idea that there is a being, and an extremely powerful being, and such a powerful being that all the others are batel mevutel, but that there's only one being, but it's a being. That's all he arrived at. Now, there was a chashuva thing. A chashuva thing. He turned away from Avodah Zarah. The Kohen Midyan. He comes to the Midbar to show that he's makir. That Avodah Zarah is nothing. He brings Moshe's children. Givaldik. It's a great thing. Listen, what can you expect from him? He came to a certain level of akara, and that's where he was. He wasn't right away. He wasn't the Vilna Goyen. He wasn't the Balatanya. Who was he? He was just a Midian guy, and he came up. And he came to Moshe and he brought him his children. So this is a chashuv thing, and the Chazal named the parsha after him. But you have to know who he was. That's who he was. He became a ger. He did not become a Yisrael. He never became a Yisrael. If he became a Yisrael, you can't send him away from Klal Yisrael. We have Mekayim all the mitzvahs of Klal Yisrael and the regolim and the karbonos and all the everything. Just send him away to Midian. Because he was not a Yid. He wasn't a Yid. He was Megayer. Megayer, just like Avram, Megayer es Hanoshim, and Sarah, Megayer es Hanoshim. That what does it mean? That he brought them to turn away from Avodah Zarah, be Mekayim Sheva Mitzvah Noach. That is like a Ger Toishov. That is the Geras that Avram did with his people in Choron, and that is the Geras that Yisro achieved. That was the level of Geras he achieved. So therefore he could say to Moshe, listen, the Rebbeinu Shalom is this phenomenal being. He is great. He is powerful and wise and everything. But this time, I got it right. If you don't make yourself a judicial system, you will not be able to handle this. You're going to collapse. You're going to collapse. And so go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, ask him, Himalach Medvura, ask him. If he says, if he agrees with my idea, then you'll be good. If not, if he tells you, no, don't do it, you're not going to be able to make it. Why? Because, but this time I'm right. This time I'm right. I'm so sure that I'm right, that even if this Gewaldige God says different, I am right. This is what he said to him. So, Moshe went and he asked the Rebbeinu Shalom. And the Rebbeinu Shalom said, so why did the Rebbeinu Shalom tell him to do this? Why didn't he tell him to do it yourself? You're perfectly capable, do it yourself. So he told him, why are you coming to ask me? Why are you coming to ask me? That means that Yisro accomplished, that he planted a niggling doubt in your mind. Maybe it is too much. Maybe it is too much. He undermined your self-confidence. Before Yisro came, you were sure, I'm sitting down, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do great, I'm going to do everything, and then all the koiches, everything, and I'm going to teach Torah, all of Klal Yisrael. Now he comes and tells you, maybe it is a little hard, maybe not, maybe. So he comes to ask the Rabbi Shalom and says, if you're not fully confident, then really you can't do it. So you should do this. This is what he told them. If you're not fully confident, if your confidence is undermined, then you should do this. That's what it says. He listened to what his shver told him. He shouldn't have listened. The reason why he did all this, the reason why he did all of this is because he listened to him. He didn't rely on his own self-confidence that he could do it. He listened to him, and that's why he ended up that he had to do this. Now, Yisro was his shver. He had to be mechabed him. He couldn't sideline him. He couldn't ignore him. He's going to be with him all the time. He's going to be, his wife, his children. He's going to come see them. He's going to be there all the time. So Yisro was going to be a bad influence on Moshe. Moshe is Moshe, and he's going to always come up with his goyish ideas, and he's going to undermine him, and he's going to be a bad influence on him. So even though Yeshikoyach Yisro, you came, it's a beautiful thing. Now go back and go to your Bnei Mishpacha and help them too. They should turn away from Avodah Zarah. They should do Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach and go back there. But over here, I didn't tell him that, but over here, Moshe did not want him here. That's why he sent him away. So this comes to the idea. So this idea here, the Einoid Milavadai, it's a critical idea in what the the Jewish concept of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Many people, when they daven to the Rebbeinu Shalom, they think of him as Zaidi and Himmel, and he listens to them, and of course he listens, but that they think of him as a being. That's what the Rambam says. Pshutei Am are not able to be masik higher levels of the Hasaga, the Rebbeinu Shalom. They can't come to true Yediyas Hashem. The Yediyah Hashem is limited. Hopefully over time, you start with that, you learn, you grow. I mean, many people start that way. Every child, I'm sure, doesn't have a saga of Einoid Milvadai. But as he's going on and growing up and learning Torah and growing, eventually you come to that idea. That is the idea. Einoid Milvadai. That is the aside of the Yiddish idea of the Rebbeinu Shalom. That is the truth. That is what the Rebbeinu Shalom is. And you could come to it pasha from Sechlius. You can come to it from but I'm not going to get into this now, but you can come to it rationally. You can come to that that the Rebbeinu Shalom is not a being, that this is existence. He's the creator. There was nothing before him. And even after the Bria, before the Bria, there was nothing else. It was only Rebbeinu Shalom. All existence. He was existence. Havaya. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Havaya. But it's not just a scrambling of the letters. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Havaya. That means he is existence. Havaya means existence. Existence is the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's existence. Everything else you have to figure out how it works. But the Rebbeinu Shalom is the very existence. That's the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the thing. So now, when it comes to Nisim, you see a Nes. On Purim, there was no Nisim Gluyim. Purim, the Rebbeinu Shalom was not mentioned in the Megillah. There were no Nisim Gluyim. So when you see a Nes, so it's easier to think, a lightning bolt came down, somebody shut down the lightning bolt, somebody. But if you don't see any lightning bolts, you don't see anything, and you see that there's a hashgacha here, so it brings you closer to the musig of Ein Oid Milvadoi. When you see that things happen and everything goes, and there's no blatant things happening. Kriyas Yamsuf, okay, fine. There was a God that made Kriyas Yamsuf. It could be, you could think that you could go in that direction. Maybe it's a being. Oh, it's a gewaltige being, a great being, a powerful being, most powerful being in the world, the only being, but a being. That's what you could think. Einoid Milvadai leads you, if everything's behester, that leads you closer to the musig of Ein Oid Milvadai. So the avodah of Purim is to get to the musig of Ein Oid Milvadai, to get there. Now, a big problem in getting to Ein Oid Milvadai is that all of us are little gods. In our own worlds, we consider ourselves like gods. We control things, we do things, we make plans. We're like little getchkalach. All of us. We're little getchkalach. So if you're a little god, it's hard to be masig that the Ein Oid Milvadai. So the avodah of Purim is to drink Adla Yoda. What does Adla Yoda mean? Not to get drunk. Adla Yoda means to get to the point where your mind is fuzzed and you're not able to make calculations. You're not able to make valuations. You just fuzz yourself out. At that point, you're not such a getchkala. You're not such a god. If you're not such a god, then you could be masig the idea that the Rebbeinu Shalom is Ein Oid Milvadai. That is the yesod of the avodah of Purim. Afreilchem Purim.